your computer. I can, maybe can I record it?
I already started it, so
Okay.
we're recording now. So, and
I'm gonna.
yeah, I know the cloud renders faster. You gonna stop it?
I stopped my screen sharing.
I'm actually kind of glad to see some old faces. What's up, Steven? Seen some of you guys in a while.
I think it's been almost a year since we restarted, or it's going to be almost a year since we started the Mega Meetup too. So.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to get a digital cake, pass it around.
All right, let's go ahead and get started with. Are you still dealing with the recording? I was already started. It's fine to sit on my computer. I can upload it later. Yeah, so basically we're gonna record this meetup and it's gonna be saved on my computer, but right after this meetup, I'll get it uploaded onto WordCamp. Not WordCamp? It's a WordPress meetups YouTube channel, I believe.
Yep, I'll post that during Bud's presentation so everyone knows where to look, but everyone will get an email afterwards too, or should, if you're RSVP'd at least to our meetup group.
All right,
the
Bud.
event is also, the event's going to be about, how long is the event going to be, Gene?
We're looking at least until 8:30 tonight. So total amount. But we generally, at least till 8:30. 8:30 Eastern time. I was confused. So we're looking just under 2 hours now. All right, Bud. Let's get you started.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Hello, everybody. Let's just get this started here. I have a really brief PowerPoint, and I mean brief. So, because it's certainly not going to be a PowerPoint demonstration tonight. Let me just get this. Hope everybody can see that. I got one last little thing I want to get out of the way. All right, anyway, my name is Bud Kraus. Yeah, I did speak at the United Nations at WordCamp New York 2017, but I wasn't speaking in the General Assembly. It was like the worst place you could ever have WordCamp, but it was kind of fun to say that I spoke at WordCamp. I'm very active in the New York City community and Montclair, New Jersey. I live in Nutley, it's where I am now, which is 12 miles west of New York City. And I develop sites for small businesses and organizations. And I do training too. In fact, tomorrow I'm doing a whole day of Gutenberg training. So, and now this doesn't work. Don't tell me. Okay, so what am I going to do tonight? Actually, I'm going to take a template, an Elementor template, and transform that into a homepage. So you'll see what that's all about. And I'm also going to use theme builder templates. And oh, before I forget, please, if you use Twitter, follow me. I just don't want to keep being the most unpopular person on Twitter, okay? I know I have more visitors or followers than I used to have, but anyway, it would be really nice to meet up and follow me on Twitter. Oh, one other thing about me before I really get into the meat of tonight, and that is I'm a person with a vision impairment. So you might see me do like really crazy things like looking around my screen and stuff like that. So I thought I'd get that out of the way so that you know what's going on with me. And later on at the end, David will share some 3 different links. And one of them is about my WordPress Big 3 newsletter that comes out almost every Sunday about WordPress, of course, and also some resources further to the talk that I'll be giving tonight or the demonstration. Yeah, and that's it. Okay, so let's get to the heart of the story here. And I'm gonna get rid of this and let's start with the browser. And we'll start actually right over here. So here's a website we're gonna be working on. It's local. I use desktop server for local development, and you don't usually get to see a website with nothing, but here it is. For our purposes, I'm using the Generate Press theme, so people probably know about that. And I don't really need to go too much into the settings, but as far as Elementor settings go, yeah, I do want to highlight the fact that I don't want to use their default fonts and colors. So that's why I check these off over here. And that I can use Elementor in this case for pages, posts, and their new landing pages. Oh, one other thing I want to get into, and you may know this if you're using Elementor, that you definitely want to update your Elementor version to 3.1.4 because of some of the security issues that have arisen in the last couple of weeks. So, and they're serious. So absolutely take care of that. Of course, do it first on a staging site and the live site. Okay. So I think that's about it for the settings. Let's just get into it. And I'm going to start with, now you should know, just, I've already set up a bunch of, let's just do it over here, a bunch of pages that are really blank. And I also have navigation set up ahead of time. No sense in showing everybody how to do that. That's, you know, probably everybody knows. But what I'm going to do is just go to the home page. And, and I'm going to use Elementor. So let's do that. And, okay. So you may know that if you click on this, you'll get, you can start building your own pages, but we're going to use templates. So I'm going to click on this. And I have to tell you, I'm using Elementor free and pro versions, and I sometimes don't remember what is free and what is pro anymore because I've been using it for pretty solid for about a year now for a couple of sites. So I, really got into it. And yeah, like I say, it's hard for me to know, what's free and what's pro. I don't know. I think the pro version has templates. Not 100% sure. It doesn't. That it's not with the free version. But anyway, so there's lots of ways to get templates. With Elementor, there are plugins that throw off lots of templates, and that's one of the things that David can share later on my website. I talk a little bit about all that. Anyway, I've already pre-selected, so I can go through here and look through these, but I've already found one and I'm going to use it. And I saved it as a favorite. So here we go. I'm going to use this guy over here. And I'm just going to insert him into my page. I'm going to just click yes over here. And if everything goes okay, yep, and it did, it'll get populated into my page. So a couple of things to note. There's no header, no footer, no sidebars. It's just a clean page. I will later on add headers and a header and a footer, and I'll use the theme builder aspect of Elementor so that those templates will apply across the entire site. But for now, let's have a look at this. Now, if you're not familiar with Elementor, I'll give you like the 30-second what Elementor is. It's not just a page builder, it's a web design system. And the core architecture of it is everything on a page is in a section. You can always tell a section just the way I have it right over here. You can see the line that goes around it. So that would be a section. Inside of sections are columns. And here's a little column icon. You can click on it and edit stuff in the column. And then any column can contain a widget. A widget in Elementor talk is fairly equivalent to what a Gutenberg block is. So once you understand that sections have columns have widgets, you pretty much understand the architecture. That's about it for Elementor. And as it turns out, I don't need to use all this for tonight, so I'm just going to get rid of a whole bunch of sections. And it's pretty easy to get rid of the sections. So let me just do that real quick. And you'll see that I'm only going to use 2 sections for our demo. All right, and here are the 2 sections. You have this sort of top section and the section over here. And I don't like the fact that this isn't flush. And this is because of the theme settings of the Generate Press. So what I'm going to do is just go right over here. And actually, I'm going to go over here into the settings for the page. And these are different templates. And I'm going to use the template one of the templates that comes with Elementor. And that's going to be the full width. So here we go. Full width. And ta-da, full width. And so now I'm going to play around a little bit and just show you, like, well, for example, I don't like this guy over here. I want to make it a little sexier, jazzier, whatever. So what I'm going to do is just click on this section. And the reason why I know that is that he's a background image. And if you know anything about CSS, this is not an embedded image. This is a background image into an HTML element, namely the section over here. So I'm going to click on the section. And when you're working with either a section column or a widget, normally you're going to get these three options over here. You're going to get layout or content, style, and advanced. So what I want to do is I happen to know that that's a background image. So that would be in style. And in Elementor talk, they don't call it background image. They call it background overlay. So I click on this and let's get rid of him. So I'm going to substitute him with Sarah. Okay, so Sarah, you're up. Okay. All right, Sarah, you're a little easier on my eyes, and my eyes need a little help. So, all right, and I don't like certain things already or I want to make some adjustments. So let's do this. Let's move Sarah around a little bit and position her in the background of the section. And I can do that by looking at these controls over here. So I definitely do not want her to repeat or tile in the background, so that's fine. But I want to change her position. So we're going to look at, no, that's not what we're going to look at over here. And it's going to be, I want to position her to the top and to the top and to the, where am I going? To the right. Okay, and that's fine. And so that's okay. I'm going to make some other adjustments. I want to see a little bit more of her. So for that, I'm going to go over to the layout and I'm going to look at this control over here dealing with height. This is what's kind of nice about Elementor, because if you work with CSS, you know that height is a difficult thing sometimes to set, but Elementor makes it pretty easy. So I'm going to take the height and I'm going to change this a little bit. Let's see if I can get this to move. And I should be able to. Let me see if I can get her to move. And let's see. Don't know why, but sometimes it's a little bit, I don't know why it's not moving, but we'll leave her. Okay, because I don't want to stay too long. And if something's not going to work, I'm going to kind of move on because I only have a certain amount of time. All right, another thing I want to do is take a look at these social icons over here. Now, I personally don't think social icons should be at the top of a page because you're just inviting users to leave your website. I mean, if they're linked to, these networks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove them, but before I do, I'm going to save them as their own kind of template, a special kind of template called a global. And here we go, save as global, and just give it a name. And I'm just going to call it social. That's good enough. All right. And so I can reuse this later on, and if there's enough time, I'll show you exactly where I'm going to use it. Okay, and I'm going to also just get rid of it. So right-click and just delete it over there. Now let's try this one more time as far as changing her around, as far as the height of the element goes. I was telling you how, there we go. So it's exactly, it gives me a little bit more height. But yeah, okay, but I don't like where this ends up, so I'm just going to click on this column, all right? And we're going to use negative margins. Again, one of the great things about Elementor is that it's like a CSS dream come true, if you like CSS, because it just helps, if you have an understanding of CSS, this is just so helpful. All right, so I'm just going to leave it like that, and yeah, if I wanted to make a change over here, I could go in, I'm not going to do it, but I can change the style. I can change the font. I can change the font weight. I can do all that. But to save a little bit of time, I'm not going to do it. All right. Two other things I want to do before I move off this section. One is I want to use, all in the idea of templates, is that you can create your own color story, your own color scheme for your site. And I'm going to do just that because I love this color down here. Just kidding. But I do like this color. So what I'm going to do is, again, make sure I'm in the section. Oops. Now, see, if you do that, that's a problem. And yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I'm hitting Command Z and it's not coming back. So the good thing is we have history, do we not, somewhere? And I'm going to bring it back to, and that's what I want. Okay. So fortunately, there's a way to, let me just get this out of the way here too. I just need to get this out of the way. Sorry. Yeah, I want to get this navigator out of the way. It's a very handy tool, but I just don't need it right now. All right. So like I said, I want to, and I want to try, I don't want to click on this anymore. I want to just click on, I'm going to make sure I'm in the section. And it turns out I'm not yet in the section. I'm going to be careful here. Now I'm in the section and it says so over here. And I want to just take note of this color in the background. And so it's a gradient and I want the darker color. I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to save this as a global color so that I could use it elsewhere later on. And hopefully I'll have time to do it. So I'm going to click on this and just save it. And we're just going to call this tan. Okay. It's not really a good idea to name the color this way. It's really better to name the purpose of the color. I'll show you why in a little bit. Let us hope. Okay, so I'm going to create that. All right, and the last thing I want to do with this section is a little bit of responsive. So this is great for desktop, and everybody wants to know, well, what about mobile and tablet? Well, let's have a look. This is definitely one of the strengths of Elementor is that you can go over here, and no, that's not what I want. I'm sorry that I'm not clicking on all the stuff I want to click on. Here we go. And you can see tablet and mobile. So let's start with tablet first. And now Elementor sets the, these are media queries in CSS, and they set it, but you can adjust it. So you don't have to, I forget exactly what the width is, but I think it's something I know when I looked at it, I don't agree with it. But anyway, I don't want her here. So I just want to make sure I'm in the section, and I am. And I'm just going to go back to where I was over here with the overlay. And this time with the position. Now it's nice, it says custom, and you can use an XY axis to move Sarah just a little bit. And maybe I want to move her down. Whoops, Sarah, come back. And that's just all I'm going to do with that. And I can make any adjustment I want. Okay, that'll apply in the tablet. And then for mobile, I'm just going to go back over here and click on mobile. And whoa, I don't like this at all. But let's just see what we can do with Sarah. Now, maybe ideally I would hide her. I would bring this up. There's all kinds of things. I'm just going to show you. That's pretty easy to design with this. And for position, let's go to custom. Oops. And let's go to custom. And I'm going to move this just a bit. You can see that's it. And that's all I'm going to do. Now, of course, you get a problem with the background and stuff like that, but you get the idea. All right, I'm going to go back to desktop. Notice I haven't really looked at the site, and that's kind of nice. I haven't really looked at it, without all the Elementor around it, but you can always go like this too and say like, oh, this gives me a pretty good idea what desktop's going to look like. All right. So with that out of the way, let's look at this next section over here. And I'm now going to add a couple little things that'll be pretty quick. So I'm going to make sure I'm working in this section. I click on this and I want to add some icons. So I click on this over here and I'm going to add some icons, and I'm going to add the world famous star. And actually I want to add it to all 3 columns. So there's a couple ways to do it. I'm going to do a copy, and I'm going to paste it over here and paste. Of course, it's got a mind of its own. So I'm just going to move it up over here. And I'm going to also make another copy. Let me just get something out of the way here. All right, make another copy by clicking on this, right-clicking, and just clicking on duplicate. And this time I'm just going to drag it in over here. And of course, I can add color and stuff like that, but I'm just going to leave it just the way it is. And now I'm going to add a call to action. So I'm going to add a button to each column and do a little bit of something that maybe you know about, maybe you don't know about. So I'm going to put my button in over here, and I definitely want to make this, let's see, so button, we want to make this, let's say in the center, and I want to make them bigger so I can see it, not too big. And then maybe I want to add, let's add a color. So for that, I want to make sure you're working with style, and I'm going to work in the background color. And In fact, I'm just going to click on all the global colors. Now here you can see, here's that tan that I added. I added white earlier. These are the ones that generally come with Elementor. Notice they just tell you their purpose, not so much as descriptive, because if you change a global color, it will apply throughout the entire site. So that's the reason why it's a good idea just to not use the names. Anyway, I'm just going to use secondary over here. And then I'm going to add 2 more call to actions real quick. And you'll see what I'm going to do. Here we go, buttons. Okay. And I'm going to now also just duplicate, paste. Oops, I didn't want to duplicate the whole column. So I'm just going to duplicate the button and just move it over here. Now here's something that I love about Elementor, and that is if I want the style, then all I have to do is right click on this and copy and then paste the style. Okay, so woohoo, that would be great. Okay, I love this feature of Elementor. And of course, make sure if you do stuff like this, you want to make sure that, you know, you've got your, let's go into content, and that you've got your link, you know, what URL you're going to be going to. Okay, so we have 2 things. We have one more thing to do on this page, and that is to create a template of it that I could use throughout the site that uses dynamic content. So how am I going to do that? Well, in this case, I'm just going to click on the plus sign, and I want to add 2 columns right over here. And now, okay. And so for the first column, I'm going to add a text. I'm going to go through over here, okay? And oh, I don't want this text. I want dynamic text, text that will be drawn from the database. So, which I love. So this is the little icon over here to add. I'm sorry, it's over here, dynamic. And if I go down over here, you've got, I want user info. Perfect. So if somebody is a user on your site and they've, you know, registered and it's in the database, this is something that you can call. And I am going to then just click on the user and let's have first name, and there I am, I'm hidden over there. But I want to be a little more creative with how I'm using this. So I'm going to click on advanced, and then I'm going to say, hey, and then over here, I'm going to do comma, good to see you. Okay, and let's see how that plays. Okay, and there's also a fallback just in case, you know, we're not going to mess around with the fallback. And that's fine. That's just what I want. So it says, hey, bud. Now, yeah, there should be a space in there. Yeah, I'm not going to adjust that because I don't have time for that, but it's pretty easy to do. I should have left a space after the letter Y. And now I'm also going to do a little styling on this. Actually, I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to make this in the center, and I'm making it a little bit bigger. Let's just do a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's too big. Okay. And like I said, I can adjust that, but I'm not going to. Okay, and now over here, I'm also going to do a dynamic content over here. But in this case, what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to drag in a, what am I looking for? My image, okay? And I'm going to use dynamic image. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, watch. So instead of pulling from the library, I'm going to click on dynamic, and I'm also going to click on over here, user profile, and ta-da. So my little gravatar shows up. And what I'm going to do is just save this whole thing. So I'm going to click on, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to change it. I want to right click, and I want to save this as a template. So when you save this as a template, just think it's like a piece, you know, in this case, it's just a section that I can use elsewhere on my site. So I'm just going to call this user info, which you can see I've once done. Okay, well, we'll just call it user. We'll just save that. All right. And I've made my first template on my own. So that's it. So we're done with that. Okay. So let's talk about the header and the footer. It's also time to take a look. So, and here we are. Of course, it's pretty much what I would expect. Not exactly a work of art, but you get the idea. And all right, so to create the, and this is definitely what I'm about to show you is definitely Elementor Pro stuff, okay? That I know. Okay, so here I am, Elementor templates. Let's do theme builder. And I'm gonna create a master header. And so by that, I mean, it's gonna be a header that's gonna apply for the entire site. Now, I don't have to click on what I just clicked on. Oh, by the way, I know that there's a new like theme builder interface and stuff, which I hate. So that's why I don't like to use it. But anyway, I'm gonna do add new. There you go. If I click on this,
Rene is laughing right now, Bud.
I'm glad.
I feel the same way. I feel this, they turned it on and I was like, oh, turn it off.
There's a lot of stuff they do.
Yeah.
Let's face it, okay? I mean, a lot of stuff they do, like, huh?
Yeah.
Why are you doing? You know, when you have something good, don't mess it up.
Right. Leave it.
You don't have to keep making it better. It already is.
I tell my wife the same thing.
So, all right. So let me roll because I don't have all the time in the world. Okay. So, so you can see there's a lot of different, I don't want to call them custom post types, okay, because it's not really, I mean, they're template options. Okay. So I'm going to use header and I am going to give it a name and let's just call it site header. And okay. And here we go. So this is really cool stuff. This is really, you know, one day Gutenberg will be there. Full site editor, you know, full site editing. That's sort of like what this is. And I'm going to just, okay. And now I'm going to create the header. And I'm going to do that by clicking on this. I could actually use a template, but I want to create my own. So here we go, 2 columns. In the first column, I'm going to click in the middle of that. And you can see I have my widgets are a little bit different now. These apply to the site. So I'm going to use the site title and just drag it up over there. And it's already been in my site because, you know, in the general settings, I decided my site was going to be called Words Are Us. Over here on the right side, I'm going to go back and click on this. And for that, I'm going to use navigation. And I'm just going to drag it up over here. And these are the links that I established before today's demonstration. And, you know, I set up the navigation already. And I just want to do one other little change so we can see this a little bit better. I'm just going to click on the section, okay? Go to the section, go to style, go to background, and in the color, let's use a global, okay? I'm going to use, just for the heck of it. Now, I don't like the fact that you're not going to see this very well, so let me just do this over here. And so we're in the navigation, and I want to go to style, and I'm just going to leave it this way, you know, because I'm going to run out of time. But you can change this to white or something that would be easier to see. For our purposes, we'll just leave it this way. And we're just going to now save it. Okay. And here's the big question. Where do you want this to go? All right. So you have to add a condition where this is going to apply. Now, this is a very simple site, so there's not a lot of choices. I can make it for the entire site or for an archive, but you can be very targeted in these templates, these theme builder templates. You can target them to specific archives, to specific posts, pages, custom post types. I mean, depending on how complex your site is, you can target it to whatever you want. But in this case, we only have a bunch of pages. So we're just going to do entire site. And I'm going to, and you can also add conditions too, like, you know, I don't want it to, I think you can do negative. I'm not sure. Pretty sure you can. Anyway, I don't want to add any more conditions. That's fine. And the other thing I need to do is save this, but I can't because I have a bunch of, here we go. Now I've got to move some stuff out of the way. Okay. And now it's saved. And let's, if I refresh the home page. Okay, so now it shows up perfectly. Again, I didn't do anything with the color. If I go to another page, there, okay, this is like the about page. You can see they're blank. Okay, perfect. One last to do, and that is the one last theme builder to do. And it's going to be sort of a rinse and repeat. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go into my theme builder. And this time, I'm going to start new, but this time I'm not going to do, I'm going to do a footer. This is really cool stuff because you can do, 404 pages. It's amazing what you can do with this. And if you're going to use Elementor, you got to use the pro version. I mean, the free version is, okay, and let's just call this site footer that I'm going to build, and you'll see, okay, that, all right, I don't want any of these pre-builts. I just want to build one myself, and I need to get some of this Zoom interface out of here. Okay, and here we're going to, I don't want to do a 2, I can do a 3, so yeah, we'll just do 2, that's fine. Doesn't matter, 2-column layout. What I'm going to do is click on this. This one over here, well, this time I'm going to use that global. So I created it for a reason, okay, and that is, it's just a reusable, I want to unlink it. If I click edit it, that means I can edit, can add more and change things, and I'm going to unlink it. So it's not going to affect the global template itself when I unlink it. And I'm just going to leave it because, I want to, I'm almost done, but, so, I can make it in the center and I can add background color and I can add more, but that's good enough for our purposes. But here's the reason why I did this as a global, because suppose you want to add social icons, the same set in a sidebar or somewhere else, let's say in the middle of a post or something like that. So that's the reason why I said, why don't I just save this as a global? Globals, by the way, are just single purpose widgets. Okay, then you can't save a section as a global. You can save a section as a template. And for this over here, I'm just going to throw in some content. Let's just do some text really quick over here, and be done with it, and save it. And again, this is the most important. Where do you want this to go? By the way, you can, if you can change your mind. You can re-edit this stuff. It's not like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't, I'm stuck with this for life. No. Okay, entire site. And I'm going to click on this, and let's see the site now. All right, let's see our work of art here. So we have, and here's our footer down. Of course, I would put margin padding. I just wanted to show you that you could do this. If you make a change, okay, here's what's kind of important to see. I definitely want to show you this. So you go to the home page, and you now see that you can edit the page itself, or you can jump in and edit the header or footer. If you make changes to those, that's going to apply through the entire site. So you need to know that. So let's just take a look at going into, we'll go over here, all right? And this is kind of interesting because now you see the page, the full page, but notice that the header as well as the footer, these light up a little bit differently, right? It's got like this little orangey color. That means you can't, this is not editable, right? I mean you can't eat it. So it's not editable. So in order to make this editable, what you have to do is click on this, okay? So we don't want to, we just want to edit it, okay? So what will happen now is, okay, this is editable, but this is not editable. So that makes sense. So if you change this, anything that's blue like that, that's blue, you can edit it. And of course, it would change through the entire site. That's a very cool, important aspect of understanding how to work with Elementor. One last little thing, and I'll be done and ready for questions. So we have, no, we don't have Zoom. So we have, let's just take a quickie look at our page. So for that, we'll go over here. I just want to, let's just do this. Go over here, right? And I want to just go to the About page, okay? And I just want to, so you can see header, footer, perfectly nice. And like I say, one last little thing that'll wrap this all up. And that is, we're going to go in. Now you're going to say like, I clicked on, all right, click on this. I'm going to edit with Elementor. I'm not really sure why this is there. Maybe I was doing something before and I'm going to clear it out. But look at this. So if I click here, yeah, I know about my templates, but what about my templates? And I actually have 3 of them now. You know, I have a header, I have a site header, site footer, but don't forget about this one that I did, user. And I'm going to say yes. And so now, of course, the user would have to be logged in, come back, and it would change for that particular user. So with that, I think that's as fast as I could possibly give it to you. So if there's any questions, whatever, I'm happy to answer. So guys and gals, roll, fire away. See what I can, what I know. And if I don't know it, I'll make it up.
All right, Bud.
I definitely learn a lot.
Okay, good. And like I say, if I don't know it, I'll just make it up.
All right.
All right.
We have a couple questions from the chat.
Okay.
The first one was talking about the pros and cons about disabling the Elementor colors, default colors. I know somebody answered it, but if you could talk a little bit more to that.
Well, if you don't do that, then you're going to be like stuck with the Elementor colors, okay? Which is, sort of like what you saw with those global colors. I mean, you could delete the global colors that they give you with Elementor. You can just delete those because Elementor, you can't have no design. It's not design neutral in the sense that if you're not going to make decisions on, typeface and color and layout, well, Elementor will do that for you. So, which could be good and could be bad, but you as a designer can overrule, you can set whatever you want. One of the things that I like a lot about it is that you don't have to go running to the CSS style sheet and making all these changes anymore. You can pretty much do it here, but if you want to do that, you can. So you can have your cake and eat it too. I think it's a tool that's a time saver. And it also opens up a lot of possibilities, creative possibilities to people that would say like, oh, I never thought of even doing that. So it's a fantastic tool. I mean, I think it's really good, but like anything else, it's not nirvana. But anyway, I hope that helps.
Yeah, and along those lines, can you talk about do you recommend still using a child theme?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, because that's where you're going to make your CSS, your custom, your custom styles and your function, your changes to your functions and stuff. So of course, so that's not an issue. What was I going to think? Oh, what I find is kind of interesting. People sometimes say, well, what theme should I use with Elementor? And what I'm finding really interesting is like Elementor sort of says, I don't care what theme you use. Theme, you're going to sit in the corner over there. I'm taking over, which is really cool. And of course, has a lot of implications. And of course, really points to where full site editing is going to go. Is full site editing going to be theme sit in the corner? We're taking over. I think so. I mean, this is the whole evolution of the WordPress project from a development tool to a design tool. And that we're all, living through it, struggling with it, going through it. Everybody knows this. But this is really what the WordPress story is right now. And in my opinion, Elementor has, grown past that as a full design system.
Sure, and all the more reason to make sure that you check or uncheck disable the Elementor colors so that you're using the theme that you're hoping to use.
That's right. It gives you it gives you the control that you're going to want. I think that they should have those settings by default, quite frankly, because when I was first learning to work with Elementor, I couldn't figure out well, how do I get a little more control over here? And it's that.
All right. Let's see. Rebecca asks, I guess I've had trouble if I grab 2 different templates for different pages that maybe they have different styles or fonts. Is there a fast or easy way to make them look similar or to grab the font colors of each other? or the other?
I'm not really sure I understand the question. You want to clarify a little bit? You know,
I'm not sure. Rebecca, can you type in there?
if you're having, usually like, you might be, are you talking about regular templates or the theme builder templates? Because if you're having trouble with theme builder templates, it could be that the display conditions could be conflicting with each other. And there you could run into some problems there. I always like to simplify things whenever I make things. I like to make them simple.
My understanding of her question was that when you import one template and then you import another template, those templates are already styled.
Yeah.
And I don't know of a way to just say strip out all the styles and make all the styles on the page match. I don't know of a way to do that, but that was my understanding of her question.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, I understand now. I have not tried that, so I can't really tell you I have a lot of experience with that. But what was it, Rene, that was speaking? It makes a lot of sense. What you've just recommended. That is, you know, you're putting apples. You know, if you're putting two different templates together on the same page, at one point you're going to have to harmonize the styling, obviously, because you have two different styles. Yeah, I understand it now.
Okay. Another question. How can you set fixed dimensions on an image widget? Mark wants to be able to control the exact height and width of an image and then insert the image.
You know, that is not an easy answer to the question, because a lot of times the size of the image is going to depend on the dimensions of the container. And to give you a hard and fast, it's always this and that, I can't do it. And it's, you know, and what controls the container size, of course, is the, you know, is the theme itself. So that, you know, going to have impact. Now, there are height and, you know, with the image widget, there are controls for setting height and width. So, but I find that I struggle with that too a little bit, quite frankly. You know, you know, like I say, a lot of times the size of that image is going to depend on the container with which it lives, and you can control. You can do quite a bit of. You know, here's where you might need to do some custom CSS work, or you can use the controls that are in the image widget itself. And that's really the sort of, I know it's kind of general and not really the perfect answer for you, but it's the best I can do. Like I said, if I didn't know the answer, I'd make it up. So I'm just, no, kidding.
All right. Well, thank you, Bud. Does anyone else have any questions we didn't get to?
Oh, I want to say, before we start, couldn't David put in, there's 3 links. One they're all to my site, but one is about, what is it? It's about Elementor templates. Another one is about my newsletter. And I also on my site have over 60 free videos to help you learn WordPress. Nothing on Elementor, by the way, but that may come one day. So
I shared it at the beginning, and Guy just shared it again in this chat.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And don't forget Twitter. I don't want to be the least popular person anymore on Twitter. That's
you haven't met my mother.
And I don't know what it is, but everybody who has 12 followers, they want to follow me. So, you know, go figure.
Just that popular, Bud.
I can't help it. So I'm working on it. What can I tell you? Thank you, David, and everybody for letting me do this. This was really nice. And I'm glad it worked out.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Bud.
you, Bud.
Yay, thanks, Bud.
Thanks, thank you. So you want me to obviously stop sharing?
Yeah, everyone give Bud a round of applause.
Like
Great. a great talk there. I actually learned something. I generally don't use Elementor that much, but I grabbed a few new things. I'm a big Gutenberg type of person, but I see the advantages of using Elementor.
Let me just make one last point, and I don't want to offend anybody, but in my humble opinion, and it's humble. That Elementor, Gutenberg is like in kindergarten and Elementor is in graduate school, okay? I really think that kindergartner is gonna grow up and end up in, you know, pretty soon, but there's a world of difference between the two.
I tell you what, Bud, join us next week because we are scheduled to have someone on for the page builder to showcase the page builder stuff. I'd like for you to compare and contrast that to the page builder.
Oh, I'd love to.
Elementor does.
I'm there. Let me know more about it now. I'm there.
In fact, Gene, with your permission, I'd like to drop the meetup link for next month into the chat.
Yeah, go ahead and drop it in the chat. So our next meetup's already ready to go.
It's preliminary, but I thought it would be good to create that and drop it in here. We are going to be talking about the page builder, the scheduled talk, and our guest, as soon as she finds out we made the date for her already, she will, the WordPress is coming with it's expanding Gutenberg into a site builder. And that next month, we're going to have kind of like an exclusive preview of that walkthrough and all of that. And that will be included in WordPress and Core near the end of the year. So it's something that would be interesting. Yeah. Or it's not the end of the year, probably a little bit further ahead, but it's the full site editing. It's already being baited and previewed a little bit, but yeah, that will be next month and the link's in there and we'll add more details to that link.
Yes, I definitely got a glimpse of that and I was like, wow. So it is, like you said, it is growing up. Gutenberg, the block editor is getting there. So
yep,
it's getting there. Once again, thanks, Bud, for sharing.
Thank you.
That was great. Great. Now we're gonna move on to another. I think this is gonna be another amazing, awesome talk. Without no introduction, because it would be foolish for me to introduce her. Let's move on to Rene.
Hey, everybody. Okay, I'm going to put my link in here so you can see. I don't have slides, but I do have a little bit of an outline, and then any links to the things that I'm going to use in the talk. The first thing is that I didn't exactly know what level people would be at. So if you look at the bottom of this link, at the very bottom, it says like, hey, do you want to learn more about Elementor? This is a meetup that I did maybe a week or two ago. There's 2 recorded versions of it. I did a pre-recorded version and then there was a live recorded version. And it talks about the differences between Elementor Free and Elementor Pro. I go through all the settings and things like that. So that might be helpful for some people. Especially if you're new. I talk a little bit about different themes and excuse me, it's a little bit of a longer presentation. It's about an hour. This one will be about a half an hour. And this one is a little bit more advanced. So, you know, bear with me. Don't worry too much if you don't know what's happening, but hopefully you'll learn something. I do have a couple links here. So I just want to show you my setup and kind of how I have everything situated. So I created a site in local. So this is just local. It used to be local by Flywheel. Now it's just local and it's free. The link to it is there, excuse me, if you want to download it, and then you can create all the local websites that you want and then do whatever you want with them. For the theme, I'm using Hello Elementor and Hello Elementor Child. Now, sometimes I use Astra and sometimes I don't. It really just depends how I feel on any given day. But Hello Elementor is very, very basic. So if you look under Customize, you barely have any options at all. So site identity, pretty much it. That's where you can set your logo and your favicon. But really, you don't have anything else. There's no, like Astra, there's no header and footer builder here. There's no global fonts and colors. It uses everything from Elementor. And you'll see that the you know, the initial setup, when you look at it, is just nothing. It's just words, like a header here. This is the name of my site. So there's nothing there. There's nothing there by default. So that is the theme that I'm using. And the plugins that I'm using today, I'll show you here. Elementor and Elementor Pro. So you need the Pro version to be able to do the archives and the header and footer builder and the things, excuse me, that Bud talked about at the end. I'm also going to talk about custom post types with custom fields. So custom post types or CPT UI is a free plugin. And then for the beginning part of this presentation, and depending on how much time I have, you can use the free version of ACF or advanced custom fields. And then later in the presentation, if I have time, I'll cover a little bit of a section where the pro version is needed. So if we only get to a certain point, the free version of ACF is fine. So free, and then paid. So those are the plugins that I'm using on the site. And then so what I've done is I've created a custom post type, and you can create custom post types different ways. But I've created a custom post type called books, and you'll see it here on the left-hand side. So posts are a post type and pages are a post type, but I have content here on my site that is not really a post. It's not really a page. It's all about books. So I have some data here that shows an image from a book, the title of the book, the date I read it. This is just kind of a little thing that I have, little information on the book, a link back to the book. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So I've created this custom post type, and I'll show you some custom fields that I've created as well. And then how do I display that? How does Elementor help me display that information on the front end? So I've created a custom post type, like I mentioned, for books. It's very easy to do this. Add post type. I'll just show you a little bit of the settings that I have here. A lot of these auto-populate. And at the bottom here, I have, I do want an archive, and just a little bit of in case you don't know the difference between a single and an archive, the single would be one book. So any one book is a single, and then the archive is the collection of books. So it's all the books together. So think of that like the blog. So any one blog post is a single, and the blog itself or the collection of posts is the archive. So that's kind of the model that WordPress goes on. So the singles I like to call book, and then the archive I like to call books. So we'll go over that in a little bit. So that's what I've set here, and that's all good. Now I've also created some custom fields. So my post type will have a title and content, but I also want some additional fields. I need a place to put the author. I need a place to put a link back to the book. I need a place to put the date I read the book. So I've created these custom fields here, and I want to show these fields if the post type is equal to book. So that's how I've set this up. And you can create as many fields as you want. You can do image fields, any number of fields, very easy to set up initially. So let's just look at the books that I've created. So 4 favorite books here. If you like business books, these are the books. Story Brand, Profit First, 12-Week Year, Traction, all good books I recommend. That's just a little sidebar. But here I have, and these are really just going to look like posts. So I can edit any one, and then let's look and see what we have. So I'm going to edit the 12-Week Year book. It's going to look really similar to a post where I have the title. And here's where I would put a review. This was an awesome book, everything I learned from it, all good stuff. I just filled it in with some filler text. And then here at the bottom is where I would put the author, the link back to the book on Amazon, the date I read it. And I've also used the featured image here on the side of a picture of the book. And I did use the excerpt as well. So I filled this out just like I would fill out a post. But again, it's a custom post type because it's specifically just for books. So let's look at one other one. And these are pretty much going to be the same. So Profit First, I have the title at the top. I have a paragraph about it. This is the author. This is the link to the book. This is the date I read it. And this is a featured image. So let's look at what it would look like if I don't do anything. So this is what it would look like. So it only has the title and the content. There's no author, there's no date read. It looks really kind of ugly. And, obviously I don't want it to look like this. And then the same for books. This is just going to be the default, however my theme displays archives. So the way this theme displays archives, a big ugly list, it says archives books, title that's a link, a really terrible picture. This is the excerpt. Then the next one, title, really terrible picture, and then the excerpt. So all this is ugly. And depending on the theme that you're using, your theme may display it in different ways. So, but regardless, I don't want it to look anything like this. I want it to look nice. So here's what I'm going to do. So let's go back to Elementor now. And Actually, let me make sure I covered. Cool, okay. So let's go back to Elementor and we're gonna go to the theme builder. And I wanna create a new single post. So a new single post, and I'm just gonna call this a book. Now, I didn't tell you anything about me because I forgot. My name is Rene. I work for myself since 2017, and I work with small businesses, and I also run the Pittsburgh Meetup group. So we had a speaker in January and February that talked about templates and things like that, and he was really into like naming your templates, like prefixing them with meaningful things. So this might be like a single. And that way, when you have your site and you have all your templates, you can sort them so that you can see all of them in groups. So all of your singles, all of your archives. And I thought that was just amazing. So sometimes I will do that now. So here's my template. And I'm not going to use any of this, so I don't need any of that. I'm going to close this. And I'm going to start here from scratch. So I'm going to use a 2-column layout. But I want to use a, if I look here under structure, I'm going to do a 1/3, 2/3 kind of situation here. Now, when I am here in a single, you will see that there are some items here that say single. So just like Bud mentioned in his presentation, when you're on different templates, or when you're in, like when he was in the header builder versus when he was in an actual page, the items that appear here are a little bit different. So featured image is an option for a single. So when I click this to say featured image, nothing shows up. So one thing I like to do before I start developing here, and before I get too far into this, just to make sure I'm in the right place, if you look under settings on the bottom left and preview settings, I want to preview this dynamic content as a book. And then I'm just going to pick one of the books. So it's good to have some data ahead of time. So I can apply and preview. And now it's actually going to show me the picture of that Profit First book. And there it is. Okay, so I have the picture of the book. I want the post title. So I'm going to drag that guy over there. And now I have the post title. I also want the content. And that's awesome. But how do I get that other stuff? So it's not going to be author box or post navigation or anything like that. How do I get that other content, those ACF fields for date, author, and the link? So what you can do is you can use, so for example, I'll use the text editor. And here I'm going to put the date red. So just like Bud mentioned with the dynamic tags, you can click that. And at the bottom, you'll see ACF field. So once you pick ACF field, it goes away. So I don't like this interface because to me, this is not intuitive. I picked ACF field and it didn't ask me which field I wanted. So you actually have to click on it again and then pick the one that you want. So here I'm going to say author. And then it should show author. Now, if I wanted to say author like this, I could do that. Cool. Or I don't have to put anything there. So that is one thing I can do. So I'm going to do that same thing again for the date I read it. So I'm just going to use the regular text editor. And here I'm going to pick the ACF field at the bottom. And then the ACF fields that are appropriate for what you've chosen will be listed here. And I'll show you that here in a little bit when we get the link. So I'm going to put date red. And I'm going to say date red, like so. And then what I'm going to do with the link, I don't want to just display the link because like a big ugly Amazon link really isn't going to do anything for me. So for here, I'm going to use a button. And so anytime you see this little, I think it's the database symbol, but that little kind of like, it looks like a can of soup without a label where it says dynamic tags. If you click on that and I pick ACF field, again, you'll be able to pick the correct one. So this will be the link. And then I'm going to say, check the book out on Amazon, like so. Okay, so I have title, that's my review. This is the ACF field for the author, the date read, and then this is a link to the book on Amazon. One thing just to note that this, where it says featured image, You can also do this a different way. You can just pick regular image. And with this dynamic tag, you can pick featured image. So that's just another way to get to the same thing here. Or if you have created a custom field for image, so let's say using the featured image, but maybe some other images as well, those might be listed down here under ACF image field. And again, only the image fields will show here, whereas, for example, on the button, the links were available. And in the text editor, the text fields were available. So do this, delete. And another thing I'm going to do really quickly is, because I don't like the default, this widget space default, you can set this in the global settings, but I'm just going to change this to 10 because it's so much space between them. Okay, so here I have a nice, lovely single, and I'm going to click publish. Now on a regular template, that green button says update, but on a single or an archive or a header, it says publish. And then it will ask you again, just like we saw in Bud's presentation, where do you want to display your template? So I'm going to add a condition that says, I'm going to pick books because I want this one to display for books and all books. So I'm going to save and close. So now let's look at this. And let me see if I have the link. Book, this one. So here's my book / building a story brand. And oh, lovely picture. And I can do other things with this, right? Like I can do something to this image, maybe make a nice little border or something. I can change the colors and all this stuff. I can change the fonts. I can do any number of things here to make this look the way I want it. So, but then all of these books should look the same. So if I go back to Profit First, that's going to look the same. Oh, pretty. Okay, so picture, title, description, author, date read. Check the book out on Amazon. I can even set that to open in a new tab if I want to, but in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. So now let's get out of here and let's go and do the archive. So let's look at all the books together. Now this one is actually a little bit easier. So when we go to the theme builder and we add a new archive, and we're going to say books, these are all the books. There's pretty much only two things you're going to add to this, the archive title and the post. So I'm going to close that. And again, remember how when we looked at the single, it said single and there were single items like featured image and post title. Now that we're on an archive, we have archive items like archive title and archive post. So let's do the archive title here. Ooh. Come on, man. And remember, like we want to go to settings here and say, hey, let's preview this as not the recent post, but as the books archive. So show me the books. Now by default, it's going to say archives : books, which is ugly, no good. So what you can do is you can turn off the context and it's just going to get rid of the word archives. So now it's cool. You can just use books. And then if you need to, you could do some before and after text. So you could say something like my best business books or something like that. So you could use that same awesome thing there. And then here we will go to the archive posts. Now there's also a post somewhere else in here. Posts, I don't know, somewhere. You want to use the archive post on the archive, just because it's easier. There are some differences when you use posts versus archive posts. So again, in the interest of time, we're just going to say, just use the archive posts and save yourself some heartache. Okay, so a little bit ugly. I'm just going to finagle this a little bit. I'm going to show, let's see, image width. I'm going to turn off these things. I don't want the excerpt. I don't want any meta. I don't want the read more. And I'm going to make this image a little bit bigger. Cool. Maybe 1.6. Maybe a little bit smaller here, maybe 50. Maybe I show 4. Oh, pretty. Okay. So let's publish that guy. And again, where do you want to display your template? And I want to do this for all of the books. So the books archive. And now we can look at books. And it's beautiful. And we can click on any one of these books. And also beautiful. And we might want to do some navigation here. So previous book, next book, that way, or you could even do breadcrumbs, because right now you can't do anything here to get back to the other book. So you might want to do something in there as well. So that is that. Just want to make sure. Okay, cool. So that went okay. I'm just going to do a little bit more. So if you have ACF Pro, what you can do here is you can create fields. So you can create this options page. And the options page here is something where you can have ACF fields that aren't tied to any specific item. So any specific post or post type, you can create some global ACF fields. So what I've done here in the theme editor is there's a really quick snippet to add to your functions.php. And all it is, it's 3 lines. It just says add an ACF options page. And so then we'll have options here. Super fun. So I've created a custom field just called global. You can call this whatever you want. And I've added one little intro paragraph. And I'm showing this field if the options page is options. So that's why I have something here under options that's a book's intro paragraph. So let's look at adding something else to this, that if I had, let's say I had a client, I don't want them in Elementor archive templates, like no good. So this is something where I can send them to an options page and I can give them a little place to put a nice little paragraph that maybe even is a certain number of characters, and then we can display it here. So I'm going to edit this archive with Elementor, and I'm going to add an ACF field here at the top. So again, it's just, this one's just going to be a text editor here. And I will use the dynamic tags and ACF field. And don't forget to go back to it. And it's just going to be the global options, the intro paragraph. And like such, we'll update it. And let's preview. Okay, now one thing to note here when you do a preview, notice I'm previewing the actual Elementor template. Look at the URL here at the top. Not great. What I probably just want to look at is the archive. So I just want to look at books. So just make sure if you're using that preview, you're actually seeing what you want to see. So here we have that paragraph that goes back from the options, the global options. Now I have a couple examples. I'll let you look through these if you want to. These are some projects that I've done recently. Tax collection agency, so for their careers. So there's an archive and then singles. Another organization, they have locations. So again, archive and singles. And then the Octofree, they don't use the archive because that's in Facet WP, but the singles are done with ACF and Elementor Pro. So those are the options there. I don't have anything else to give you. Like Bud is like, hey, subscribe to my stuff. I don't have anything to give you, but I would like if you followed me on Twitter too, or Instagram or LinkedIn. So that's my spiel. So what questions do you have? I see the chat's blowing up. What questions do you have that I can answer?
All right, thank you, Renee. I have a question from Michelle. She's asking, can you put all of the custom post types on a single page?
Can you put all of the custom post types on a single page? Like, well, okay, so maybe what you could do in that case, if you created a, let's see, if you created a template, or maybe actually just created a page. Let me see really quick. Let's do a, you might not want to use archive post. You might be able to use post in this case. So let's maybe say test page. And because then I think in the, under post, you can pick which post type. So let me see. So let me see here, we did like this. And we can say post, post maybe. And down here at the bottom, query. Yeah, source. Okay, so what you could do then is, I don't actually have any posts, but so you could do one block that brings in all the posts, and then another block that brings in all the books, and then another block that brings in all of your other custom post types. So maybe that answers the question, that you can put all the custom post types on one page.
All right, I think so.
If not, you tweet me on Twitter. You can email me. Just, I'm happy to answer the questions. Like the contact form on my website, you can email me and we can follow up.
Okay. There was, Rebecca had a question at one point. You were talking about preview settings and then also pulling in the dynamic content from ACF. And she was asking, was all of that functionality available only for the Elementor Pro or the free version as well?
The Pro version is what you'll need to be able to do the singles and the archives. You can do dynamic content with the free version, I believe. Actually, let's see. I have a free version. There are, that other presentation that I did on the differences between the free and the Pro might have some more information on that. But let's just look really quickly. This one only has free, and see if we have dynamic content available. Let's see, pages. This one doesn't have ACF on it, but if you see that little empty unlabeled soup can, then you know you can do some dynamic stuff. So yeah, so you should be able to do that with ACF and the free version. I'd see how far you can get, but again, not with the custom post types, because there's no archive or single functionality in Elementor free.
All right. Joe was asking, with ACF, should you still use traditional categories and tags to organize content, or can you organize on your CPTs? And if so, like, is that through settings, etc.?
You can definitely, excuse me, you can definitely create your own categories. So if you look at the Octo free page, or actually some of those other ones, I think I have categories on all of those. So yes, I've created my own categories, and I believe you can pull those into Elementor as well. Don't quote me on that part, but yes, with the CPTs, yeah, create your own taxonomies and use those to your heart's content. You should be fine with those. I don't love using the categories because sometimes I have something that really only applies to one thing. So for example, on the Keystone site, the careers, it's career category. We have another custom post type for forms where tax type is an option. Tax type doesn't apply to careers, and career category does not apply to the forms or the FAQs. So, you know, depending on your content, yes, you might need to create those custom taxonomies to separate that so that you can categorize appropriately. You may end up calling it like a book category, which is fine, but you know, not using that that post, you know, the generic category, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. And Tara was asking, have you used it, and I believe she's referring to Elementor, with pods?
I'm not a pods user. People love pods. I don't know, I think I missed it or something. And I'm not sure. I don't know if you can use pods or not. I don't know if, like, for example, if you were to pick, like, for example, if you were to pick this, if pods, you know, something here under pods would be an option or not. You just have to check the Elementor settings. I'm not sure.
Okay. And Doug was asking, what do you use for preview and next post for books?
Oh yeah, so you can do a, let me see, let's click on one. There's a navigation. So if you go to edit with Elementor, and again, this is the same thing Bud was showing you. When you're on a page, it will have the options of what you need to edit here. And there's a previous and next that you can fiddle with. There's not the best settings for it, but it can be acceptable. So if we do a, and then we'll just move it down to the bottom here.
Want to interject real quick. Jinx, both Tara and I did drop a link into the Zoom chat on Elementor integration with pods.
Oh, cool.
From November of last year.
So this is just the post navigation option here. And then you can set a couple different things with this, like, what do you want the previous one to say? What do you want the next one to say? Do you want to show an arrow? What do you want that arrow to look like? Do you want the post title? No, stay. So you have a couple options here. Not a ton of options, but some.
All right, great, thank you. And Jan is asking, where is it that we define the difference between single and archive?
So when you go to the, let me see here, let me go back. Oh, I just clicked on the wrong one. That's one thing I don't like about Elementor. Like, just let me out of it already. So when you go to the theme builder, so you'll go to templates and theme builder, you can also click here. You can say, I want to do a single post. And then if you don't have any created, you can click, it will have a big green button. Like, so for example, I haven't created a search results page, so it'll say add new search results. So if I hadn't created a single post, it would say add new single post. So you can click on that, or you can just add new and then pick, again, a single post for a single post type, and then archive for the collection of all of those together. So you would just pick the two. And then once you've created those, you'll see them in the list here. So if you go to theme builder, I think you'll see we have the archive for books and the single for book. And I do name them like that as well, plural and singular. And it also tells you type archive or type single post.
Oh, that's great. One more question just popped in. What are the options to sort the archive?
Oh, yeah, you should be able to. What's the sorting? You know what? I feel like that is the default sorting from WordPress. So, and actually the number of posts that show here, the number of books that show here is set from the settings. So settings and reading. So if you need a different number of posts to show, so if you only want 6 or you want 12, it's going to pull from here. So I think you actually don't get any sorting with this, but if you did do just posts, you can pick sorting here as well. So because you can pick the query, so I can say, I want books, and then I want to order by date, title, menu order, or random. And again, I know I told you before not to use posts. You can just know that there's a difference between the two. There's a difference in the settings. The archive post really is meant for the archive. But if you do need a little bit more control, you can use the just the regular post so that you can pick it. And these are the options that you get. You can include and exclude certain things as well too, in order, ascending or descending, depending on what you pick.
Okay. And Michelle's also asking, she saw a short code. Can you paste that into a text widget?
Ooh, so that is one of my favorite things on Elementor Pro is, let me get out of here. You can just let me out. So this is my favorite thing. This is a sidebar from what I presented on today. I like to create sections. So I'll create actually like a full section of something. And then, yes, in Pro, you can use that short code. And yes, you can use that in the Gutenberg editor. You can use it under widgets. You can use it basically anywhere. So that's kind of what I did on this site. So this Octofree site, let me just show you really quickly on her about page. So this is actually a Gutenberg page. And what I did was, this is Gutenberg. So this is an image, this is a paragraph, and this is an image. These three things here, this, and this, these are each individual Elementor sections that I use a short code on the Gutenberg page. So it's a little bit wonky. Like, what if the client removes that? But I like to give them access to be able to change this. And I love this shortcode. I use these shortcodes all over the place. So shortcodes for the win.
All right, and then there's one more question from Paola. Is the Advanced Custom Fields plugin a good option if we don't necessarily want additional fields published? but as internal tracking. And then says like landing pages for different audiences or channels, or to add notes and comments about pages.
I would say that would be fine. You don't have to show them on the front end, and by default, they don't show on the front end. So I think you'd be fine with that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never really, I guess, made notes about anything. So I'm not sure how I would do it, but I think it would be fine to do.
Okay, and Elizabeth also offered a Notely plugin as a good option for internal note keeping.
So Renee, I've got a few questions for you too,
Yeah.
because we get them often in our past WordPress meetups. So the first one is, can you share what would be the top 2 or 3 resources for general users or agencies or freelancers using Elementor for their customer sites? Is there any like really good lists of resources? I know sometimes there's like awesome lists in GitHub, you know, where they show, you know, really great list of resources, photos, tips, tutorials, video stuff, all of that stuff, you know, stuff besides WordPress.tv.
Not anything that I know of where somebody else has put a list together, but I did point in the last presentation people to the getting started. They have there's a video, it's one video, but if you go to YouTube, this is actually a playlist of videos. So it's a bunch of videos here that should walk you through. Whoa, shh, sorry. Yeah, so that's the only way that you can get to it, but I think that there is, yeah, so here's the playlist here on the site. So getting started, website basics, setting up your header, creating a page. So that's one thing I would point people to, because that's actually from Elementor and updated pretty recently.
Where is the best place to be if you want to be inside a community of other Elementor folk? Because you can learn tutorials all day long, but it's kind of like you have a question, but like you're an island, you know, and
yeah,
unless you throw something out on Twitter and get lucky.
Right. I kind of find that too. I think there are some Elementor specific meetups though. So I like WP, what is it, calendar? If I could spell ANDAR.io. Is that it? And then you can look for online events, and you can search for Elementor here. So, hey, it's us. Yeah, so well, actually that's going on right now. So don't worry about that one. Unless they have a replay. So you could search here. And I think Elementor maybe does sponsor some specific ones, but like this one, Elementor Paris, if you spoke French maybe, but there might be some other ones here, but that's really all I know of.
I like to say there's a Facebook one, but maybe I'm just imagining it because like I don't use Facebook very often.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's advanced WordPress. There's one for Gravity Forms. And I think there's one for, I know WooCommerce, Meetup.com now, as I've noticed, WooCommerce is starting to create like their own Meetup team in WooCommerce, which means that they're starting to create now their own meetups in different major cities.
Ooh.
And I think Elementor's, I thought I saw on the other day an Elementor kind of doing the same thing. I'm not sure, but it'd be worth a look on meetup.com. I'm trying to find places where, you know, outside of the occasional subject on meetups,
right?
And without WordCamps being a physical place right now, it's all online. It's difficult to find, like, you know, people to be in a group or even a forum. Even a forum would do. I know the Elementor has stuff on their site, but I always want to get outside of the official, you know, website community and explore somewhere else. But it's just been very difficult to try to locate other groups unless they just happen to be on Facebook, and that's an F word I'm not allowed to use in my house. So,
well, Guy just dropped the link to the one in Miami, the Elementor group, and Joe also just dropped a link as well to one in was it Santa Clara?
It's hard to read some of these. That some of these are direct messages to me, and then they're blasting off somewhere else. So Steven said there was an Elementor meetup in Miami that happened today. What is this, Elementor Day?
This is a, so I guess this is the group. These are a bunch of Elementor meetups. 61 groups.
There you go. Yeah, I think that probably was the pandemic kind of spurred it on, because I think WooCommerce hasn't had their first one in Miami, but it appeared on my radar and I just automatically joined it. But so there you go. I mean, you don't have to wait for a WordCamp necessarily. And these people are probably just, I would imagine a lot of the Elementor folk are small agencies or one-person agencies just trying to build the sites together. And, you know, those kinds of people are great to be around because they love helping, love contributing to other groups. Rene, I think this is my last question here regarding, I think you had in your slides your local setup, a link to your local setup, or it was or were you using local? Maybe that was the
Yeah,
thing.
it should just be a link to local. It's just localwp.com. So that's, it's just Flywheel's local. I mean, you can use like DevKinsta or like, what is it? Desktop server or whatever you use. But yeah, pretty easy. You download the software, you say, I want a new WordPress site. And they say, what do you want to call it? What do you want your admin name and email to be? And then it just makes it. So very easy to use, especially if you want to develop locally and not have, you know, it's easier to play around there than having, I don't know, a million domains, I guess. Not that we don't have those, but.
Not that that doesn't exist. How long have you been using Elementor?
I'm kind of grandfathered into the pricing. I'm kind of like, oh no, should I upgrade or not upgrade? A couple years now. I think I bought it. Actually. The reason I went with it and not Beaver Builder, because everybody was like, Beaver Builder, was that the free version had a lot. And I could use the free version on sites where the client didn't need the pro version. But then the pro version offered extra. So it's, you know, a couple years now that I've been into it.
And where do you see Elementor going in the future regarding that and the Gutenberg combination? You must have an opinion on that. Everybody does. I think you're required by law to have an opinion.
I'm not sure. I'm kind of, it's a little bit scary. You know, everybody's like, Gutenberg, they're going to surpass us. I find Gutenberg hard to use because there's a lot of things moving. I need to hover a lot of places. So when I try to teach, I also teach at the community college. I try to teach a student, like, how do you even just find that toolbar? You have to hover in the right place. You have to click in the right place, and the stuff is moving all over the place. So I think what Bud was saying was right, was not yet, maybe later, but also Elementor is going to keep updating, you know, during this time. But because their pricing model just changed recently, I heard they were bought by venture capitalists. You know, sometimes stuff goes downhill. So I hope it doesn't, because I use it a lot. I hope it stays good and continues to grow. But you know, in this, you don't know, like when you're in this business a long time, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things come and go. You kind of just have to stay on top of stuff and adapt.
WordPress is pretty big. You know, so I think there's probably room for both. I'm actually writing the second version of an Elementor add-on for Envira Gallery. Ooh. So it's Envira. You create the gallery in Envira, and then you go to Elementor, and it used to be just to select a gallery and drop it. Now it's select a gallery, and you can override your Envira Gallery settings inside Elementor, so you can do overrides and that sort of thing. Elementor has been, I think, like the middle of the road in terms of building custom modules too. I don't know if you or anyone else here has had the pleasure of trying to build a custom module for Elementor. If you are, let me know, because I've got a few questions, especially if you're on the little advanced side, because trying to get some of the stuff to work. But yeah, you can build, it's relatively, Elementor makes it a little, I forget what the learning curve is. I think I think it's the JavaScript path there, not React, but I think just JavaScript. I did Beaver Builder, Divi, and Elementor all at once, so it's getting them confused. But anyway, great. Thanks for that. And we'll make sure to share all your links and stuff in the
Thank you.
notes. Turn it over to Gene.
Well, thank you, Rene. Definitely thank you. Everyone give Rene a round of applause. That was amazing there. I also enjoyed that. I'm a developer, so, and I you know, it wasn't hardcore development, but it was like just a little taste of it. So I kind of enjoyed that. And I'm a big fan of Advanced Custom Field. So if anyone wants to see some of my old talks, a couple of them been back to back related to Advanced Custom Field. So big fan of that plugin. All right, let's get chugging along. We have just a few more minutes left of this meetup tonight. Actually, the next thing we're gonna just go and have a pretty much have more of a conversation about is the new WordPress update. Like I said earlier, or we brought up earlier, WordPress is now version 5.7 is now out in the wild. If you haven't updated, make sure you do your backup first, back up your WordPress site, and then go ahead and give it a try. There's a lot of nice, neat features has been added. A lot of stuff that has been added to what they said, like under the hood, so you won't really notice. Some of them I did notice, and they're like security related for at least for my work environment, and we're happy to see those get pushed through. And let's let David give us more of a background on the latest release.
All right, I'm kind of cheating a little bit here because we're probably going to close down in about 15 or 20 minutes. We're going to do like a game show at the end. We've already given away 2 of our 3 prizes anyway. The game show is going to round us out. But I couldn't let a meetup go by without talking about WordPress 5.7. And the inside story for this is that according to what I've been told, every time there's a new WordPress release, the WordPress.org support forums light up a bit for various reasons. It depends on the release, what the reasons are. 5.7 has been, I heard the most quietest release so far in a long time. Now that might be because 5.5 had the jQuery update for developers who know what I'm talking about. But 5.7 is basically pretty safe to upgrade. Now, if you still want to play, you should still do your backups and do your usual cautious approach, especially if you're doing it on a production environment. But this is a page from WP Beginner. I just thought this would be faster just to share these visually with you. There is a video that I was contemplating on playing, but you can play a 3-minute YouTube video after this meetup is over if you're very interested in it. Every release has updates to Gutenberg, so there's such things as drag and drop. As you can see on the screen right now, dragging and dropping blocks right on the page. You couldn't do that before. You can also make blocks full height, especially cover blocks, columns, and that sort of thing, which is pretty cool. Block variations, if you know what those are, those can have separate descriptions. If you're a fan of changing your social icon sizes, I don't judge, but if you want to make your icon smaller, it's a free-ish country. You also can improve your button layouts in WordPress 5.7. And if you're a designer and you like percentages, then, happy days for you. You also have more options regarding font size and blocks. But so that's the editor stuff. So here's the stuff that might be important for you in terms of maybe, if more particular, maybe for freelancing, if you're doing more freelance or for agency stuff. There is easier migration from HTTP to HTTPS. I can't tell you how many times, especially now, we kind of take for granted a little bit now that a lot of the sites by default are HTTPS now, especially if you go through a hosting company. Thanks to companies like Let's Encrypt, that's not a funeral service. That's a certificate company that gives away like free SSL certificates that expire every 6 months, but you just hit a button and renew it. Or is it every 3 months? I think it's every 3 months. I think it's every 90 days. Regardless, SSL certificates used to cost hundreds of dollars. Now they're practically free or included with your hosting. Oh, 2 people thought that was funny. Great. I was working on that all week. My kids will be proud. So the point is that you would start off usually with an insecure site, and then you would migrate over or add an SSL or HTTPS to your blog or to your website later. And it depends on how you did it and where you did it. Sometimes it was relatively pain-free, or you would use a plugin, and other times you would have to. I've had some people, because the URLs were in the database, serialized in the database, and they were not changed by WordPress depending on the plugin or theme you used. Sometimes you have to go through a search and replace through your database, which was just nightmare fuel. Now there's an easier migration button under site health. When your site doesn't use HTTPS, but should be set up for it, now you can literally push a button to update all the WordPress URLs. And I think that plugin authors can hook into this too. So I got to double check on this, but I believe plugin authors can hook into this. So if there's any of their URLs that needs to be HTTPS, like when you push this button, that should be done as well. So the point is, at the end of the day, if you have a site that's not secure, now it needs to be, now you don't have to call a developer or rely on your hosting company to wave their magic wand. Now you should be able to press a button to do it, which is actually pretty cool. I thought that was actually one of those, it's one of those life enhancements that, you know, it's not something that's flashy, but it improves your state of life or state of how you use WordPress a little bit more. If you're a color freak, you'll be happy to know that the color admin palettes have been standardized. That probably won't mean much to most people here, but if you design themes or that sort of thing, we may actually see better color support or compatibility or enhancements for WordPress down the line. It's mostly under the hood feature in tweening. If you're familiar with Robots API, if you know anything about that, Robots API or robots.txt file is a specific file on your sites. It's not WordPress specific. Any site can have a robots.txt file, and you can Google that for more information. But all it does more or less is tell robots what to index and what not to index on your site. So Google, well, God knows if Google still respects this anymore, but in theory, search engines, when they come to the homepage or come to the root directory of your website, like www.davidbissett.com, it looks for a text file called roots.txt. And that file can tell the search engine whether or not that website, whether the search engine should index a certain directory, not index a certain directory. Maybe there's certain things of your website you don't want indexed, and that robots.txt file handles that. So for plugins that can hook into this new tag called WP_robots.txt, it's going to be easier now for, I think before, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, there's probably a WordPress plugin for it, but generally before you'd have to create this text file by hand, and which means you would have to have access to your server or something along those lines. Now it's possible to do this through a function of WordPress, which means there's going to be plugins out there. Probably Yoast SEO is probably already taking advantage of this, I would imagine, to be able to have better control over what search engines index on your site, more or less. Robots meta tag too. And that is what it looks like in your source code, that little meta file. So if that sounds like something you want to use in the future, go ahead and give that a look. Lazy loading iframes. Lazy loading is something that was put into WordPress for photos. I'm going to say in 5.5, I think. I don't know. But their lazy loading is something that most browsers now support out of the box. I think you just put lazy equal true or something along those lines in your photos. WordPress does it, I think, now automatically as of 2 versions ago. But iframes, you never think about lazy loading iframes, and now WordPress 5.7 does that out of the box. So that's pretty cool. And remember, iframes also can include YouTube videos. So this means that it doesn't have to load all the iframe crap when you first load a particular page on your WordPress site by default. Lazy loading means is that when you scroll to it, then it starts to load. So your page performance would increase. WordPress 5.7 also has some various under the hood changes. We won't go into them here. Only, I find these interesting, but then again, I have no social life, but I would think that if you're a developer, some of these would be particularly interesting as well. Get post parent. I'm always looking for parents. I mean, I know my real parents, but I'm always looking for post parents. And these 2 new functions are really, really great. I'm surprised somebody hasn't thought of this until now. What? Okay, I've been told I'm over my joke limit. But anyway, this is a nice, good release for WordPress 5.7. This is, I think, on a scale from 1 to 10, if you were just to hit the update button on your current WordPress website, like how good you feel about upgrading from a previous version to this one, I would give this like an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think this is a pretty, it has features, but there's nothing in here that really, not that a WordPress update would break anything, but there's nothing here at all that's anywhere near risky. Now the next version, which we'll probably talk about next month because it probably will be coming up, I think, in a couple of months, is WordPress 5.8. And that, I think, is going to have an interesting change regarding cleanup of jQuery. And we'll have to see how that goes, and we'll have someone on to talk more about that. But that's WordPress 5.7 for you. There is, no, that's about it. There is a video on here if you want a person that is better looking and better sounding to show you some of the features of WordPress 5.7 there from WP Beginner. That's always a great resource. If you don't know about WPBeginner.com, go ahead and take a look at that. That, in addition to WordPress.tv, are two excellent resources, again, for just general, like what's coming up in WordPress. So anyway, I don't think I could possibly have any questions regarding what I just said. Your brother-in-law is a lazy loader, and no, you can't take the bad jokes. I have priority. I have first pick over those. One person, Jeff, who is not related to me at all, says, I still have issues setting line spaces and paragraph spaces without fighting with CSS. Anything coming that will make this easier with Gutenberg blocks? I don't use Gutenberg blocks a whole lot, but spacing and paragraph spacing, I would think, would be a part of some of the Gutenberg blocks that we use. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in there and comment about that, but that, I think we do have line spacing. I don't know what kind of blocks Jeff is referring to. Gene, did you cough on mute for?
I'm sorry, I should have, and I didn't do it on time.
Oh,
I should hit the
seriously,
button.
I thought you coughed just so you can make a point about line spacing.
Well, yeah, I do know a little bit about line spacing, and someone did make a good suggestion. Block patterns. You can fix it once, and you kind of use the block patterns over and over again. But the block spacing could be something if you're using a theme that's not like 100% Gutenberg compatible. You can be fighting between Gutenberg and that theme. I dealt with that once before, so that could be one issue there in this release, and I don't think the next release will have anything to do with like the line spacing or anything like that coming with Gutenberg. So I'm sorry to tell you that, but the lines, like the CSS line spacing issue that you're having, is probably you're having two things fighting each other. One way you can deal with it is just have if you're using a child theme, just have a CSS file that's kind of override all your line spacings for you, and you don't have to kind of worry about that, or just use the block patterns. Oh, what is that noise?
Oh, wait. Can you hear it now?
It's Kahoot. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I was transitioning to the trivia game show. I can mute the tab.
No, that's good. A little background noise.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like Gene is in a Mario game. Here we go. We're going to unmute it. Well, Gene, you're host. You let me know what's coming up next.
Well,
because I'm done with my 5.7 stuff.
If you could, David, drop a link to the WordPress meetup for next month. Again, in the oh no, that's the link to the beginners. So next month we do have a special guest to come talk about Gutenberg and some new features that are coming out. So I would recommend everyone to at least show up and see what's all that's about. Like David said, I think the next two releases are going to be pretty big, 5.8 and 5.9. So, and there's two more releases this year, right? There's one that's going to come this summer, and the one that's pretty much late fall, I believe.
Yeah. So Gutenberg has been separated into 4 sections, and what everyone has been seeing for the past 2 years has just been the editor for building posts and pages. There is now a site editor that is coming out this year that is expanding basically what WordPress is going to be like. And it's going to be Yeah, I didn't think I was going to hit it on the first shot, but it is. So, you know, you ever experienced a culture shock when it's called full site editing. That's the thing. And I think there's lots of blog posts that are giving you previews on that. But effectively, what Gutenberg did for full site editing is going to be doing for like entire page layouts. So think of block patterns, repeatable blocks, global styles, all of that stuff. And this blog post right here actually will allow you to guide you through how to test it out so far with the Gutenberg plugin. So Gutenberg is a plugin, and what eventually in the plugin comes into WordPress core. I thought, yeah, there's also a handbook full site editing you may want to be familiar with as well, and it'll be updated. But yeah, so next month we're going to have someone from Automatic, I believe, come and talk about full site editing with us. So
that's a lot.
Exciting.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
coming.
it's like
a big change.
It's like if you use WordPress out of the box at all, then you want to probably like show up for that. Even if you may not use a lot of it, but I bet you're going to use some of it, even if you have page builders, even if you use page builders, because as in my experience anyway, page builders build pages, but you still need WordPress to like set up your widgets and menus to a certain extent, or, you know, more or less. So this is going to be touching WordPress.
It's going to touch the navigation, functions, the menus and widgets and everything.
Yeah. So should be interesting. I don't want to paint myself into a corner here because this person could be hit by a bus and then we're out of speaker next month. But, you know, I got to hype up something.
So, so definitely looking forward to that next month. I would like to thank all the WordPress meetups that came together today and share the speakers that came out today. I'd like to give another round of applause to Rene and Bud for coming out and speaking and sharing. We're open to anyone else who wants to speak and share anything they have. It could be just for 15 minutes. We can do as long as 30 minutes before it gets too far. But thanks for everyone for showing up tonight. Greatly appreciate it.
We do have a trivia contest. So while Gene is finishing up, if somebody wants to join, it's kahoot.it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and join pretty much this is the end of tonight's meetup, but we're going straight to the game show right after, like we generally do. And thanks for everyone for showing up.
Also want to thank Gene too. Let's all thank Gene, because Gene has been with the local WordPress scene down here in Miami for a very long time. You know, he's been with the meetups a long time. He's helped with WordCamp Miami a very number of years. One of our key resources at FIU, local college, for a number of years too. And I also think that he might have a little bit more in the tank in case in 2022 if we do another event or something like that. I always thought WordCamp US would be a good location for South Florida, especially in the winter when everyone's freezing their tuchus off. Did I say that right? All right, good. Yes, great. Good. Thumbs up from the judges. All right. Yeah, Gene, usually it's your job to remind me what I haven't said, and I can't think of the same thing to you. I think you've got it all. I think April 15th is the date we're shooting for the next meetup. We had a number of countries represented here tonight, including people around the U.S. and a lot of Florida people, of course, as well.
I'd like to thank Guy too. I don't want to not say thank you. He was very helpful today as well.
Yes, Guy was that masculine voice that you heard repeating questions in the Zoom chat. Want to thank Guy for that, and thank his parents for the DNA that enabled him to have such a voice. So thank you to that line. All right. Gene, if you think of anything, feel free to just go ahead and just interrupt the game show. It's that's the only thing I can think of that's left. All right. So the less people join, the better odds of winning. Tonight's sponsor is GoDaddy Pro. $50 gift certificates are on the line. That is enough to pay for one of my pizza dinners. Just me, not my family. So maybe cross my fingers I'll be able to get one of these days. But yes, GoDaddy is a great sponsor. We want to thank them very much for doing so. It's not easy for a sponsor in doing digital events, and GoDaddy has been with us since our first mega meetup. So, oh, I do eat pizza. It's technically pizza, Elizabeth. Anything with sauce and a little bit of cheese is pizza. Just like if I put a piece of lettuce on a pizza, it instantly becomes a salad. So anyway, all right. I think let's go ahead and start. This is not a WordPress themed game show tonight. I decided to pick something a little bit random. We're going to test our knowledge of corporate logos. All right. Let's see if what we can do with 10 people here. So gift certificates on the line here. All right. Steve, you're supposed to push the button on your phone. It doesn't count if you put it in chat. I'm going to think that you're being cute right now, I think, or you're bragging. I can't figure out which of it is. Yes. My wife might have put NFL in. I don't know. Let's see where we go. We're going to go through these pretty quick until we get near the end, and then we can have some suspense. You can play on your computer, Steve. You just open up a new browser tab, go to kahoot.it, enter the code. Or does your computer have something against fun? Is there a fun filter? Oh, you can still get in, Steve. It's fine. I am surprised I'm surprised most people got that. Excellent. Yes, all perverted animal names. Great. That's wonderful. Let's keep going.
Thank you, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Thank you, violent video games. Oh, wow. Man, didn't take long to figure that one out. Oh, somebody, oh yeah, 2 T's. Oh, and a, wait a minute. Oh, 2 I's.
Oh, two eyes. Oh, that's slick.
And Twitch is what I'm experiencing right now due to lack of sleep. That's not it either. Here we go. Another logo. Let's see, woman spreading legs. I'm not sure if this is, oh, it's Starbucks. Never mind. Take that back. Yellow leopard is looking to go places here. The PIN number is 9110456. That's spaghetti? Oh no, it's music. And cancer?
Wow.
I don't know anything about this. I'm not culturally illiterate. It made a frog go down, though, that I know. Here we go. Oh, wow. Yeah. No. Somebody has a problem with T-Mobile. Seriously. All right. Here we go. Halfway through by somebody's math. I'm going to say it's Pac-Man, but from the other point of view. Nope, it's Snapchat. Now remember, it's not just correct answers, but how fast you get them. And right now, Yellow Leopard's living up to their word, living up to their name. Now, if you don't know this, you're not, I don't think you're an American.
It's McDowell's.
Coming to America, now in theaters. All right. Yes. Happy Meal. That's, if that's the first thing you think of, then I cherish your childhood innocence. All right, here we go. By the way, you're, oh. This quiz was not done by me too, so this person may be getting tired as they're entering these things.
Nah, this is
that's a razor.
Yeah.
By the way, if you did win the past month or two, the GoDaddy gift certificate, you can't win another one. So if you're hooked up on adrenaline right now, then you may want to bring it down a notch. Because we'll take the top 3 or 4 or 5 names and email them to me at the end of the day.
What happened here?
It's missing.
I think they take away the letters logo because otherwise it would be too easy.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, Intel. The L and the blue.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting there. At this point, it's whatever you can click the fastest. Because it's getting later and we're just like, you know. Yes, all of us have a certain amount of money in our wallets, apparently. All right. I don't know. Yellow leopard, we may have to get some drug testing involved. Although they're 1 point away from a speedy dingo.
Dingo, yeah.
I had one of those at the Outback Steakhouse the other day. Delicious.
El Taco.
Yes. We're all filled with shame. We won't admit it. But we know. 4 points ahead now. I mean, if you've been alive and outside your house in the past 20 years, I wish it was Las Espadas. I could use a Las Espadas right about now. Uh-oh. Dingo's on top of the leopard, so to speak. Okay. Okay.
It's a
If
play
you
button.
haven't suffered brain damage or memory loss, you might be able to get this one. I apologize to the person who pushed the play button as the choice. Distinctly apologize. You have every right for your choice, as everybody else does, to pick an answer like that. All right. Okay, leopard. Leopard needs to do something here. The sea lion's just fine where it is. Second to last one. I think that's Michael Jackson's hat from the video. I can't even finish my sentence, thank God. All right.
From Beat It or Thriller.
I was going to say Smooth Criminal video, but it's the
Oh.
Pizza Hut logo. Here we go. Last one. Last one. Oh, the dingo's on fire. You don't hear that very often. Last one. Here we go. I find it hard to distinguish. Yes.
Yeah, they got the pizza.
That was
Yeah, they
tricky.
did. Well, you know, when you've, yeah, their menu now looks like so much stuff that's still unhealthy for me. All right. So I guess now we'll have to see if the dingo or the leopard. I don't even know what that is, but it's a rational. Oh, then, okay. I guess now we know what's going to happen here. Those 3 winners, I just need you to send me a screenshot at dbissett@dimensionmedia.com. To send me a screenshot of your device with your name on it. And if Speedy Dingo's already won in the past, we'll move on to number 2 and then move on to number 3. So anyway, that's the game show for tonight. And next week or next month, we'll probably have a game show. Oh, what is this? Every question was answered correctly. Oh, it's giving me stats now or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need stats. That's fine. It's fine. We're good. No. All right. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Gene for closing remarks here.
Yeah. Hopefully everyone had fun there. Once again, thanks for everyone for coming out. Thanks to the speakers. Thanks to David, Guy, and all the WordPress Meetup organizers that helped put this event together.
Sorry.
Oh, I have to go do my closing music. Go on, no closing music. Oh, David.
I can't control the volume of it. That's the problem.
We'll work on that. We're working on that. So.
Oh wait, no, wait, I can go ahead.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds like you're about to mosey on into the sunset.
So, is there anything else I missed? I think that's all. Everyone have a great
Everybody's
night.
holding up number 2. So either they really hate the song or they're saying peace and peace out.
Peace out, everyone. We'll leave the chat open for, I say, the next 15 minutes, and then I'll shut things down.
Yeah. In case anybody wants to grab anything out of the text, we're going to save the text and say we're going to post the video on the YouTube channel we linked, and we'll send out an email. Guy sends out email. All our meetup organizers send out the same emails, more or less. So if you want to see the video of this or, find out more, then just check your email the next couple of days.
All right, guys. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gene.
Everybody, bye.
Renee.
Bye, it's Kirsten. See you next time.
Thank you.